Hi everybody, it's me. I'm back after over a 6 months hiatus. I have finally returned. Hope all of you are doing well. I've been doing a bit of traveling for work because nobody wants to travel during the pandemic. But now I've now done quarantine in 3 different countries. Picked up a little mustache and beard. But I'm back and I'm ready to talk about all the wonderful news that I was covering before, and hope to bring you along for the ride. So, where are we today? Today we're going to do something really special, and that is we're going to talk about how to talk to your relatives, your pro-China relatives over the Lunar New Year. Not if you're not if like most people, you're like most people, and of course, if you're watching this video, you're not like most people. You're very different. You watch YouTube videos from small-time YouTubers like myself, and in order to get an unfiltered, raw view of the world, to uncover the unknown. So we're going to talk about the wonderful things you can talk about with your pro-China relatives over the Lunar New Year, and really troll them. Really troll them. I guarantee satisfaction. And I want to know that you have to tell it in this way, okay? You have to be you have to be like twice as much pro-China as your uncles and aunties. And let me show you how. We start with this story. More money than God. Chinese titan of industry is a businessman. Once lavished, Hunter Biden. And if you think that, Hunter Biden, isn't that the president? No, that's actually his son. Hunter Biden is the son of Joe Biden. And he received a 3-carat gem, diamond, as well as an offer of $30 million. Let's read on. The Biden family offered their services to a huge Chinese government-linked energy consortium to expand its business around the world. How do we know? Because of hundreds of emails documenting the deal found on Hunter Biden's laptop. And this is, if you can easily Google this, Hunter Biden did indeed go to a computer repair shop in Delaware, where his family home is based, and he left it there, and he didn't collect it after a long time, which, legally speaking, allowed the owner of the shop to take ownership of that laptop and do whatever he wanted. So he checked out the contents, and then after that, he sent the laptop off to the authorities. But he also kept a copy for himself, just in case. And now some of these contents of this laptop have been revealed. And in one new book by New York Post columnist Miranda Devine called Laptop from Hell, she reports on some of the content. So we start with James Gilliar, a British ex-army officer who got to know Ye Jianming, 40-year-old chairman of CEFC, the Chinese energy conglomerate, which is now bankrupt, by the way. It's no longer in business. But they were both working in the Czech Republic. His task was to spend $1.5 billion as quickly as possible to ensure the Czech Republic would become China's gateway to the EU, a priority of President Xi Jinping. Well, obviously because, trade routes, business. So to that end, bought everything from a football team and a brewery to an airline, and was eventually named Special Economic Advisor to the Czech President Milos Zeman. I love these Eastern European names. Fun to read. Special Economic Advisor, that's nothing to sneeze at. It's a big deal, obviously, right? Because you get the ear of the president. Now he was looking for an influential partner to help with acquisitions in other locations around the world that had strategic significance. Gilliar had an idea who could help the Biden family. Gilliar connected with Hunter Biden through trusted family friend Rob Walker, former Clinton admin official. Gilliar emailed Walker to praise Hunter's appearance in Beijing and the board of the investment fund Hunter had founded, BHR. Hunter was great, true sheikh of Washington. He emailed Hunter a few weeks later. It has been made clear to me that CFC wished to engage in further business relations with our group. So Gilliar said he knew that CFC was the capitalist arm of President Xi's Belt and Road Initiative, which we all know about in our part of the world. All you ever hear about with relation to China is Belt and Road, Belt and Road. Right now, Olympics, but normally Belt and Road. No Chinese company executed its goals more ardently than CEFC, who was dubbed the Belt and Road billionaire. Look at this handsome young man, then 40 years old, chairman of CEFC. Look at him in his golden chair, making friends with Hunter Biden, and then eventually giving Hunter a diamond worth $80,000 just casually. Have it, Hunter. I want you to have it. And also, it said right at the headline of this article, $30 million. Yes, sealed the alliance with Hunter with a rich gift, 3.16 carat diamond worth $80,000. Excellent, prime, yeah. And there are also screenshots of emails between the individuals involved. The diamond was just an appetizer though. So yeah, after Hunter met Ye Jianming in Miami, $3 million was wired into an account for Rob Walker's company, who is a family friend of Biden's. Another $3 million was wired to Robinson Walker, and I don't know who that is. Both the transactions were flagged by the Department of Treasury's Financial Crimes Enforcement Network in a suspicious activity report. So normally you would expect that there'll be some follow-up on this, right? Senate report concluded it was unclear what the true purpose is behind these transactions, $6 million from CEFC, and who the ultimate beneficiary is. We know from the laptop that Hunter received regular payments from Robinson Walker. One document lists $56,600 from Robinson Walker as income for Rosamond Seneca Advisors, which is the company of, I believe, another family friend called Tony Bobulinski. Walker told Bobulinski his role in CFC was being a surrogate for H, or Hunter, or Jim when gauging opportunities. Jim is also, I think, the brother of Joe Biden, James Biden. So, here's a handsome photo of Hunter. Apparently, this laptop also contains photos of him smoking drugs and hanging out with hookers. So, what does this tell us? Enough about this, okay? Let me see. Yeah, the story ends pretty soon after. What does this tell us? It tells us that for a diamond and about $30 million, you can have the ear of Hunter Biden, the active. You can have Hunter work for you, and what that means in relation to his father, I'm not saying anything. Of course, nobody's proven anything. If you have Hunter Biden working on your payroll and he takes your diamonds and he takes your $30 million, I presume it'll be pretty close. So the next time that your relatives tell you that, oh no, the US is really bad, the imperialists, horrible, they're so evil, they're bullying China. Well, tell them, no. In truth, what you really want, you want China to control the United States, that evil imperialist power, terrorizing and, being a tyrant throughout the whole world. And it looks like the virtuous, noble CCP is now making good progress towards that because, Hunter Biden's their man, Hunter Biden's their guy. So shh, don't tell anybody. You can't tell anybody because it's totally secret. This is a secret YouTube video. Hunter Biden, totally on board with China. He will help, no problem. In fact, if they think, no, I'm still skeptical because there's no way that, China, can just buy off Hunter Biden. Well, yes, of course, you think that's all it takes? No, you have to give a lot more money than that. So in a book called Red-Handed, written by a journalist named Peter Schweizer, well-known journalist, he writes about how American elites, got rich helping China win. Now, as the book, we begin here, as the book lays out the detail, the Biden family has a very extensive business relationship with CCP elites, and they were not shy about celebrating Joe Biden's elections in 2020 as a golden opportunity to further develop their influence. 3 years before Joe was elected president, the University of Pennsylvania made him a professor and established the Biden Center to promote his vision of global leadership. And this Biden Center was funded in part by Chinese businesses, Chinese billionaires. And how do we know this? Well, of course, they have to declare the when they receive donations, they have to declare where it came from. So here we go. In the 3 years before the announcement of the Biden Center, the university received around $15 million from China and Chinese individuals. In the 3 years after, the total was close to $40 million. In fact, the $40 million goes up to 60 if you include contracts, for services and products. So, prior to the University of Pennsylvania, announcing the Biden Center, they receive money from overseas because they receive money from everywhere, right? That's just a baseline level of donation. They have rich alumni. They have people who maybe like the University of Pennsylvania and they donate to them. After all, they're one of the world's top business schools, the Wharton Business School. And then once there was a Biden Center, well, then suddenly the Chinese money, shot up in a big way, from $15 to $40 million. Yeah, I reckon that would kind of catch the attention of the Joe Biden, right? Because it's his school, it's his center, and now it's being funded easily. He doesn't have to put up the money for it; other people will. Now, how might this benefit Joe? I mean, of course, he can't take the money, right? The money goes to the University of Pennsylvania. But presumably, so he might make promises to. So let's say the university wants to set up this center and they want to hire staff. They're going to research foreign policy. They need to, and staff are very expensive, especially when you're talking about top-end, international relations, professors. So they'll suggest to, back then, I think Vice President Biden, saying, okay, we'll set up the center and we'll put your name on it, but you need to help bring in the donations. And if you bring in the donations, we will, do what we can, host fundraising dinners with our alumni. We'll get you, the email mailing list so you can talk to them, try to promote your ideas, talk about leadership. And well, all he has to do is just get people to donate money to that project. And then they can get, in turn, he can receive, the opportunity to talk to the alumni and to pitch his ideas, right? I mean, it's totally illegal, but sketchy, very, very sketchy. And again, you can take this to your relatives and say, well, look at this, see, this is a very important plan by the CCP. We're going to give Hunter Biden a lot of money, including like some fancy diamonds, and we'll also fund his dad's Biden Center at the University of Pennsylvania. And what will happen is that, of course, they will, be friendly to us, right? They'll be nice to us, They wouldn't publicly, humiliate or criticize us, which, if you reflect upon, it seems to be exactly what happened. Or rather, didn't happen. Yes, so this is more of the same. $6 million Biden family deal was with Ye Jianming, who had ties to a spy linked. So, the article makes the claim that Ye Jianming was close to the Chinese military. See, Ye had a number of ties to Chinese military intelligence. CEFC was housed in a complex in the Shanghai's French concession section, an area primarily controlled by China's military. So it is reasonable to suspect, I'm sure, but we can suspect that Hunter Biden was working pretty close to the Chinese military. And his dad is now President of the United States. So I wouldn't worry that, the United States would bully China or invade China and do absolutely terrible things to China, I wouldn't worry about that at all. In fact, I would tell my relatives that no, this is totally the best possible situation, because you have the friendliest possible president compared to the alternative back then was what the horrible Orange Man bad. Let me say that for you, the Orange Man bad, and now no Orange Man. In fact, we have somebody whose family likes to take money from China. Perfect. Now, as if that was not enough, you think, but then you just have, granted, it's a great thing to have the family, the first family of the United States be friendly to China, but how can that be enough? The country is so big, so there's power spread all over the place. You can't just run things just like that. Of course, that's totally true. You need, deep, powerful roots, throughout the leadership level, so that you can exert your influence, and shape policy. Make sure that these foolish Americans do the right thing for the CCP. So, well, they have. So unfortunately, one of their excellent agents has been outed, but that's not a problem because I'm sure there are many more. So here's what we know about Representative Eric Swalwell. He's a member of Congress in the United States, and he sits on the House Intelligence Committee. So he's a member of this committee that deals with all the intelligence matters of the American Congress. And unfortunately, his Chinese girlfriend's no longer there to help him. Okay, so what does this fourth article say? Representative Swalwell came under intense scrutiny and some sharp criticism after it was revealed that a suspected spy for the Chinese Communist Party worked as a prominent Swalwell fundraiser for years, to the point she was able to influence a job hire in his congressional office, leading to some calls for his removal from the House Intelligence Committee. So here are some of the key facts. Swalwell was one of many politicians who associated with Chinese spy Fang Fang, who also went by Christine Fang. But most were lower-level officials, mayors or local town council members, according to an extensive report on the news site Axios. Fang helped raise funds for Swalwell's 2014 House re-election campaign and had an intern hired to Swalwell's congressional office. Wow. So she could place people that she wanted in the office, which is exactly what we want, is it not? Yes. So Swalwell would hear information, he would read information curated by Fang Fang, or at least somebody who knows what Fang Fang wants, right? Fang also reportedly worked as a bundler for Swalwell. A bundler is somebody who organizes fundraising for at the individual level. So you run a fundraising dinner, and then people come and then they make individual donations, and these are really important people because there are limits on how much money one person can give to each political campaign. So you need a lot of people, you need scale, and Fang was a bundler for Swalwell, convincing high money donors to write big checks for the campaign. Yeah, so that was one job. Now, she unexpectedly left the US in mid-2015 after living in the country for about 4 years, amid an investigation into her activity. Swalwell cut all his ties to Fang after he was alerted by the FBI to the investigation. And there's no public information that Swalwell knew or suspected that Fang was working for Beijing. Nor is there any evidence that Fang broke any laws through her fundraising, which is exactly how we want it to be. So, if you perhaps you can tell, your relatives, your pro-China relatives, that there was such good work going on, but this incompetent spy, got close to Swalwell, but then after that got caught, was exposed and had to leave. It was so good to have her close to this incompetent, bumbling buffoon, Eric Swalwell, to leech off his influence, to tell him what positions to take. Maybe even sleep with him. In fact, You're probably wondering like what she looks like. I know that you do. I know that. I already prepared that for you. Here we go. So this news report reads, Eric Swalwell's brother, dad, finally unfriend Chinese spy Christine Phang. Yes. They were Facebook friends. The father and brother of Representative Eric Swalwell unfriended the suspected Chinese spy. They had remained friends on Facebook as late as Wednesday, even after the lawmaker said he cut off all ties. Well, obviously, Facebook in Eric's world, Facebook ties do not count as ties. Okay, like a marriage is ties, or buying a house together is ties. But Facebook friends, come on, Facebook friends are more like it's almost just like a date, or someone you're sleeping with. It's casual. It doesn't mean anything, nothing at all. So yeah, she left the country in 2015, but this report was filed in December 10th, 2020. So meaning up until December 2020, Eric Swalwell, his father, and Joshua, his brother, had remained friends on Facebook with Christine Phang. Of course, obviously, they had no interactions going on. It was just something left over from a long time ago. You know why I know that? Because you can't access Facebook in China. You can't. Even if you're a Chinese spy, I'm sure that you can't. Because why would you want your, if you are the spy agency, why would you want your staff using foreign social media? Because what if they get influenced that way, right? You can't take that risk. You have to keep them on your local media. Who knows what kind of malicious software is on the Facebook platform? Can't tell that. Can't take that risk. I say can't take that risk. So, but as you know now, Phang was very effective, very good at her job. She got really close to Eric Swalwell as well as several mayors and local council members, helped staff his office. I mean, poor guy probably couldn't get anything done, when she left. That's too bad. So anyway, Phang left the country in 2015 amid the FBI investigation, but in 2016 she liked a video posted by Joshua, which is the brother of Eric, and where they were together. Oh, well, maybe that was the one time she could use Facebook, there she is. There you go, pretty lady and that handsome, dashing, young tool. Too bad that this budding romance was not allowed to flourish, like Romeo and Juliet. Except that Juliet's trying to scam Romeo's family for every dollar they got and eventually poison them. Rather than poison the two lovers poisoning each other, they poison all of Romeo's family so they all die, and then Juliet's family can move in and take over. Yeah. The congressman, so Eric, who sits on the House Intelligence Committee, has refused to address whether he had sex with Phang. To me, this can only mean they had all the sex in the world. Because if you didn't, you would just say, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. I never even seen her naked. That's what you would say if you didn't. But if you did, yeah, you just don't want these photos to get leaked. You don't want somebody to prove you wrong. Maybe you made a confession. You told your family that I've been with this girl. It's great. Yeah, we've been seeing each other for a long time. She may want to move in. She stays over at my place a lot. Right. So maybe that's too sensitive. If you said no, somebody could correct you too easily. So you go, I can't say anything about that. Too private. National security. But it's okay, Eric. We know that you like Chinese girls. Yeah. I'm sure there'll be more. Don't worry about it. Now, up until this point, I hope that you have made my case that, yes, the CCP is indeed very, very deeply into the American government. And they will hold all the levers of power before you know it. Yes. So don't believe all the nonsense, the lies that the US, and China are loggerheads. They're fighting with each other. They're deep in conflict. No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. Really, it's just more like a puppet show, one side is holding the other like a puppet and playing them for the stage. So they just, every time they jiggle some fingers, Hunter will do something and tell his dad what to do. And maybe, Eric will get a little, letter, maybe handwritten letter, because, you can't access Facebook anymore. You can't use Facebook to communicate, and maybe, all the electronic communications are monitored. So just write a normal letter, right? I'm sure that will work just as well. Now, and then you think, oh well, that's so far away. I mean, that's also remote. Surely, you can't. I like trolling my parents. I like trolling my relatives, my uncles and aunties. But I can only care about something, if it's more directly related to my life. And I would say that's reasonable, entirely reasonable. Who wants to be always looking at things that are so far and so distant? So we can try to, I prepared some material for that as well. Let's try to bring it closer to home, okay? So that you can not only talk about international politics, but you can talk about local politics as well. So I prepared material for Malaysia and Singapore. Let's start with Malaysia. So, also, if you're a Malaysian Chinese uncle or auntie, your father or mother, think that, oh, well, obviously China's a force for good in the world, then this is great news. Here you go. Chinese ships have entered Malaysian waters 89 times in 4 years. And before you think like, I don't even know this website. I mean, how can I trust it? No, it's Reuters. Reuters is nobody's ever said that Reuters is biased anyway. So here we go. Chinese Coast Guard and Navy ships intruded into Malaysian waters in South China Sea 89 times between 2016 and 2019. But really, I would say that this is a case of the Chinese Navy trying to get used to the seas that China is claiming as their own. Anyway, if your relatives think that it's great that China is asserting itself on the world, well then sure, invite them into your Malaysian seas and say, hey, why don't you just make yourself comfortable? After all, my house is your house. You're my guest. Come in. You have guns? That's okay. Just bring the guns in. I'll help you. I'll help you clean the guns. I'll help you make sure that those guns are safe here. Try not to point them at me, okay? But if you do, also I would understand, because you know what's best. So if you have to point the guns at me, go right ahead. I won't complain. So Malaysia has sent 6 diplomatic protests to China over encroachment in its waters, including one in 2017 in response to a Chinese note asserting its claim to the South Laconia Shoal off the coast of Sarawak. Right. The reason for the appearances was to assert China's presence with regards to its claims on the South China Sea, the department said. Well, I'm sure that your pro-China relatives will see this, totally differently from the Malaysian government, by the way. The National Department for something or other. National Audit Department. I mean, why would the Audit Department have anything to say about it? Obviously, they're mistaken. Must have been like some other kind of ship, maybe it was a cruise ship and they thought it was a military vessel with cannons and bombs and guns. Like, probably not. Probably just, that's how they go fish. Yeah. And in fact, Malaysia's foreign minister didn't really have a big problem with that. I mean, only 89 times in 4 years, and besides, they're so friendly. Every time they bring the guns to show to us their new toys, why wouldn't you enjoy it? You get to check out this new hardware. So in fact, in 2021, April of 2021, the Malaysian foreign minister called the Chinese foreign minister his big brother, his 大哥, and obviously that that has nothing to do with the 89 times that the Chinese military visited Malaysia. Nothing to do at all. I'm sure he knows all about it, but the foreign minister knows that the priority here is to keep our Chinese big brother happy. If big brother wants to bring guns into your house, just let big brother bring the guns, because he just wants to protect you, right? No problem at all. Now, you might think, okay, well, wow, I'm surprised. This guy, this Malaysian foreign minister, Hishamuddin Hussein, by the way, his name is Hishamuddin Hussein. You look at him, he's just a big fan. He's just a big fan of the foreign minister Wang Yi. Yeah, look at him. He's just happy. He's just happy to be there. It's okay. One day you'll get to go to China, Hishamuddin. Okay, so how about Singapore? Well, Singapore also has had some really interesting run-ins with China, and I think a lot of people know this. But if you're Malaysian, maybe you don't know this yet. Now you can remind your Singaporean, if you're Singaporean, remind your pro-China relatives that China has a little habit of a bad habit of taking things that are not theirs. These Singapore armored vehicles called the Terex, they're called armored personnel carriers, were seized by Hong Kong customs authorities in November of 2016. This was after conducting some military exercises with the Taiwan, in Taiwan. Whether with the Taiwan military, I do not know. But on their way back, the vessel shipping them stopped in Hong Kong and they were seized. And you can tell your pro-China relative that, oh, this is probably a good thing. Probably, they seized it. Of course, they didn't give warning. They just took it just like that. But it was probably for the best because they may have wanted to check it, see if it's safe, make sure that everything is working. Even military vehicles need to be serviced from time to time. You need to take them, bring them into the workshop, and then you need to just, make sure that the oil is checked, the tires are not worn, they're replaced when they need to be, all the sensitive electronics are working. You can't just run them the whole year, you need to make sure that they're properly maintained. Maybe also needs a good cleaning, that's why. Yeah. And look, really, the real victim here is China. Look, even though China took the military vehicles, they are truly the victims here. See, in the wake of the vehicle seizure, China's foreign ministry lodged an official protest against the military exercise. Really, it's Singapore's fault for offending China. Because why would you offend China? They're your friend. They're taking your vehicles away. They're taking your cars away for your own good. Really. How could you ever think that China would take it if they didn't have a good reason to? They're so sad that they have to do this. That after taking it from you, they still lodge an official protest saying, "How can you? How could you? Betray me? I'm your friend. You have this military exercise. Now I have no choice but to take your car." And you think, "Oh well, that sounds absolutely terrible." But no. It's okay, you see, because really the main problem afterwards, even after sending a diplomatic note to say, oh no, actually we're protesting against the military exercises, actually there's some perfectly good legal reasons for this seizure. The ship, I think the ship was APL, and the ship's captain were let's see. Sorry, the shipping firm APL and the ship captain were fined for their role in the case. Yeah, because truly, ultimately, when you get down to it, even though China lodged a formal complaint, even though they seized the vehicles for having some military exercise, the real wrongdoers here are the shipping firm and the ship captain. See, they were found guilty. Singapore-based APL and PAN were found guilty of importing strategic commodities without the necessary license. Yeah, that was the real problem. The real problem is they didn't have the proper licensing. Both firm and captain denied breaching the import and export ordinance. The ship captain and the company failed to notify Hong Kong's customs officials about their cargo and to get the proper licensing. The court rejected the defense, and the two did not have a clue that the military vehicles were on board as the receiver of Singapore's Ministry of Defense and the sender of Taiwan. I actually think that's kind of reasonable because why would if the sender was the government of Taiwan and the recipient was Singapore Ministry of Defense, I doubt that they would declare to the civilian, the ship captain civilian, what cargo was there. They wouldn't. Why would they tell you? Why would they tell this humble civilian what the military is doing? But maybe the Hong Kong court sees it differently. They feel that, well, if you take a contract from the government, even if it's a military contract, you have to get all the information, and then you have to follow the proper forms. Maybe that's how they do things in Hong Kong nowadays. I don't know. A lot has changed in Hong Kong. So, anyway, also, Singapore's defense minister had some comment about the matter. Let's see. Singapore's defense minister in 2017 said it is the norm for militaries to engage commercial shipping companies to transport military vehicles and equipment for peacetime training purposes. It's cost effective, as commercial carriers have a vast network and the capability to transport around the globe. When the SAF contracts, Singapore Armed Forces contracts these commercial carriers to move equipment and vehicles. We stay clear about transporting in the open. There are specifications so our freighters and carriers know exactly what they're carrying. Yes, perfectly reasonable. However, the sender in this case was Taiwan, as according to what was stated in the previous report. So maybe Taiwan didn't declare it, right? That's possible. Now, here, check this out. Some observers have linked the seizure of these Terex vehicles to China's unhappiness with Singapore's stance on the South China Sea territorial dispute, while others said it was an attempt by Beijing to signal its displeasure with the Singapore Armed Forces troops training in Taiwan. However, I think Dr. Ng has demonstrated clearly that he disagrees with this assessment. Dr. Ng said, speculation on the issue was unwarranted and premature, and I think indeed unfair on Hong Kong authorities or any other country. We should not unnecessarily, until the facts come out, muddle the picture and impute various motives. Of course, Dr. Ng is a very cautious man here, and like a true friend of China, he does not want to malign his friend. He just wants to state very gently that let's get all the facts, guys. Not get emotional over this. Just some cars, just some vehicles, right? It only costs $113 million. But, we have a lot of money in the country. We can afford a few vehicles being impounded for a short time. Eventually we might get them back sometime. And we shouldn't just unnecessarily jump at people's motives, even though the Foreign Ministry of China has already lodged a complaint about the exercises. But still, can't be really sure until the court also rules, and then finally the central government in Beijing issues a formal statement, and then it's reported in CNN, New York Times, Washington Post, and then we might be able to say, okay, we may have a little bit of idea what's going on. Very cautious, and we should expect no less from a true friend of China. Now, last one here, and if you are truly a friend of China, and you know that Singapore is, because Singapore allowed their citizen, Mr. Dixon Yeo, to perform a big favor for China by spying for China on the United States. So he was caught and jailed in the United States, for spying for China. And of course, that was very unfortunate. It's unfortunate that he was caught, right? Because of course we want our friend China to get all the help they can get. Even after they lost, Fang Fang, and she was such a big asset. She was close to a member of the House Intelligence Committee, and compared to that, whatever Mr. Dixon Yeo could do, I'm sure was nothing by comparison. He's not an attractive Chinese lady. What can we expect, right? But nonetheless, he was arrested and then sent to jail. But eventually, he was sent. The U.S. gave him back to Singapore. He was released in December after being held since January. So he had basically an additional 1 year sentence, even after being jailed in the United States, where he was jailed for 14 months. Yeah. And as expected, so he passed to the Chinese government valuable but unclassified military and political information that he had persuaded a number of Americans into giving to him. Yeah. He was a doctoral candidate at the National University of Singapore's Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy when he was recruited by Chinese intelligence officers after a 2015 trip to Beijing. Man. Who can resist, right, after going to Beijing and seeing the glory that is Beijing, right? But I think Beijing is over 500 years old, has over 500 years of history as capital of China. Who could say no? It is only an honor to do what Dixon Yeo did. It's just too bad, shame that he could not continue. But I'm sure that the CCP will not stop trying to invite more Singaporean citizens to participate in their activities overseas. I mean, think of it as a second job. I mean, in this day and age, taking a second job is pretty common. Plenty of people do Grab food, Grab deliveries. Why not do a little intelligence gathering? After all, I think you might even be able to work from home if people talk to you via Zoom calls. So, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed my little presentation. I obviously did a lot of preparation work, got a lot of interesting tidbits, and hope that gives you, sufficient material to talk to your relatives about over this Chinese New Year. Tell them that, China has such extensive, networks for information, for influence. They're bringing their guns closer to you to protect you, and not to worry. Your leaders are very friendly to them, calling them Big Brother and trying not to read into their intentions. So, what's not to like, right? Because as a Chinese, you obviously must support these other Chinese people. That's the only thing you can do, right? Of course, you can't. Yeah, you absolutely must not do things like China Babi or other such derogatory terms. So with that, I want to thank you all for your attention and wish you all a very happy Lunar New Year, prosperous Year of the Tiger. This way, and have a fun time talking to your relatives.